Hello and welcome to The Forum, the show about going-ons at the Monroe County Community College. I'm your host, Will Johnson, staff member of the Agora, the student newspaper at MCCC. For this episode, we will be featuring artist and photographer Beatrix Reinhardt and artist Gordon Marsh. Hi Beatrix and Gordon, thanks for coming to the show.
Hello.
So, Beatrix, you grew up in Jena, Germany. Can you tell us a bit about your upbringing?
Yeah, Jena, Germany is south of Berlin, 200 kilometers south, and that was part of former East Germany. Given my birth year, I grew up during East German times in East Germany. And what is important about Jena, Carl Zeiss, the founder of the microscope, is in Jena, and the factory is located. Another fun fact about Jena is Karl Marx made his dissertation at our university, which is Friedrich-Schiller-Universität.
Oh.
What else is about Jena? We have bizarre flowers, orchids, which is unique to Germany. We can make really good cake, and people are obsessed with hiking.
Wow, that's excellent, wow. All right. Now, what sparked both your inspirations to become artists?
You first.
Oh, well, I fell in love with music early on when I was a kid, and I started playing piano when I was in junior high and decided within 6 weeks that's what I wanted to do, and I've just kept at it ever since. Been fortunate to stay at it, and I'm classically trained.
For me, it was more or less an accident. I came to this country for 1 year to go to the New School for Social Research. And I wanted to study there, but I didn't speak English, but I faked the TOEFL test. And when I arrived at the school, I planned to do filmmaking, documentary filmmaking, but I didn't have enough English to sound edit. And so I went then instead, while I learned English, I did photography, and somehow I got stuck.
Wow. All right, well, you're currently here because of Whispers on the 41st Latitude, a community art project where anyone can participate. What inspired you to choose Monroe for this piece?
We were invited. Monroe is on the list of culturally underprivileged areas. And so the foundation of Monroe County Community College looked for a project to help the community and maybe bring some culture. Wow. And I learned about it, and then I wrote a proposal that basically says to make an installation with and for the Monroe community. Wow. And since Monroe is built on a battlefield, and my work in general is about the politics of space, and if I look at exterior space, I'm interested in landscape that experience devastation or tension. So then we came up with this project.
Wow, excellent. Now, Gordon, your work, it covers the effects of music on plants and vice versa?
Well, I wouldn't say it's the effects, but when Beatrix was describing the project, when she first described it to me, I thought to myself, while we were on the phone, that, oh, you could do sound with that because you can capture the biodata in terms of MIDI data. Or you can record a sampler instrument playing the data from the plant. But I didn't say anything. And then, because we're both on sabbatical at the same time, so around about now, so I thought, oh yeah, but I didn't say anything. And then a couple months later, when she talked about it again, I said, well, you know, you could do sound with that. And then I described what was possible since she got excited. So she included me. I wrote something up, paragraph up, and we did the equipment requests and so on. So the little data box is it's a little pricey, and I didn't have one. So we got two of those because you can do a multi-mode with two plants. And we've worked before. Many years ago, we did a project in Minneapolis on the ice on the frozen lake. They have every year the art shanties. Art shanties. So we've done that. It's not what I do full time. I'm classical, but I love the idea of tying a project where the data that produces the sound is actually tied to the area, or the idea that there's a number that represents reality, and then you use that to control the sound. That intrigues me. So I'm glad to have another opportunity to do that.
So it sounds like this collaboration came about pretty naturally then.
Well, we're best friends, so.
Okay, yeah, wow, excellent. All right, so in general, what do you strive to accomplish with your work?
Well, I think what I strive to accomplish is to make people think, rethink their lives or their existence within the world. I think for me personally, this is what art should do. It's not to beautify our world. I think it's supposed to be like a long needle that you poke into somebody that in an aesthetically pleasant or unpleasant way makes people think and rethink issues. And as I said before, I mean, I'm in general interested in the politics of space, interior and exterior. And at the same time, I'm also interested in history, memory, the trace. Basically, for me, these are all notions that we all are concerned with because we are attempting to understand our own place in the world. That's why I make work.
Excellent, excellent, wow. And Gordon?
Well, as I said, one of the things I do mostly is play the piano, but I'm also a classically trained composer. And I also like to think in terms of giving people not necessarily what they want, but what they haven't experienced before. It could be a beautiful classical piece, but maybe something that doesn't get played often. But with this kind of work, I like the idea that people realize that the sound that they're hearing is derived, as I said before, from some kind of mathematical reality, like a latitude or a physical makeup or things like that. Yeah. I like it, it's similar, but I don't obviously. I live in a very different world from Beatrix, but I think a lot of artists they're not just providing something to entertain or feel beautiful about, but it's to make people think about things.
Oh,
yeah.
What I also think, I think that the notion of play and experience is also important. I mean, that seems to be one thing in our first world. We are losing more and more. It's not proper as an adult to play. And I think we would be so much more in balance. Would we be allowed to play? And it seems like that is something that is trained out of us. The more we are getting adults, the more serious we should become. And another thing, what I find important in making my work, the attempt to give somebody an experience, and maybe an experience they haven't had, or an experience, again, that might trigger new thoughts, emotions, and therefore thoughts.
Absolutely.
So that, the whole experience and play thing is for me also important, and I think about it when I make my work.
Well, and in this project in particular, and other similar projects, people are actually making the artwork that will be installed, the images. They're engaged in art, and there's in general, a lot of artists today are doing community work and collaborative work. Obviously, art institutions are interested in supporting that, and there's even with concerts and engagement with concerts and feedback. I mean, just the survival of the arts in general, because so many people are just consuming things on screens.
Right.
They've got earbuds and they've got screens, and it's it's only about sensation. It's not about participation or even getting up and going somewhere and attending something. It's an issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, I think any art, if it's music or if it generates conversation. And often, for instance, I consider a lot of art that at the end doesn't have necessarily an object, but there was an object used in order to trigger communication. I think also that is another, for me personally, a powerful aspect of making art and presenting art.
Absolutely.
Because this ability to talk to each other seems to get more and more lost.
Now, Beatrix, when doing research, I found your 2006 work where you photographed exclusive clubhouses, members only. I found that to be very interesting, and I just wanted to know, like, what kind of problems did you come across trying to gain access to these, private establishments?
Oh, the stories. How much time do you have?
Many. I photographed that for many years, and even now, if I'm somewhere and there is a private club and it's visually interesting to me and they allow me access, I do. So as you suggested, I photographed them for years and I was very open. It needed to be a place you and I cannot walk in. Mm-hmm. If the fee is 25 cents a year or $250,000, I don't care. The interesting thing is everybody behaved the same. The places that were 25 cents yearly fee behaved the same way as the places $250,000 fee. People are suspicious. Mm. And the clubhouse is this very bizarre space between public and private. I personally, I'm not a friend of organized happiness. Because I climbed out of the womb and belonged to an organization, given that I came from East Germany. But this space between public and private is very interesting to me because people do funny things. Mm. As well as I was very interested how the space in itself, because there were no people in my photographs, is somehow recording the activities of the people who occupy these places. And sometimes there is, the visuals suggest a bizarre, non-linear, exciting narrative. And that's what I was after. Wow. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I learned a lot. And I did crazy things. I became a cleaning woman. Because believe it or not, there are clubs where women are not allowed. That only male species are allowed. But yeah, it was, I think all these problems or this challenge, because for me it was a challenge, it's like, I will get into this club. That was part of the work. Mm.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, can you tell us some about Whispers on the 41st Latitude?
So Whispers on the 41st Latitude is an installation with and for the Monroe community. Monroe goes through the 41st latitude, and what we do, we invite community members to come to our hub, or we are going out to make workshops, and we teach community members how to make cyanotypes. What are cyanotypes? Cyanotypes is a photographic process from 1842. It was invented by Mr. Sir Herschel, but a year later, through Anna Atkins, it reached more popularity. She made a book, and that is actually considered the first book with photographic illustrations. We ask people to bring a plant, if possible also the coordinates where they harvest the plants, and then we make the cyanotypes, and each cyanotype, it's only one of a kind, so it's a photographic process. It's a unique print every time we will use, or we are using to make this installation. Why grass and weeds and plants? I think grass and weeds and plants are of great importance, and these two entities do not get enough attention often. As I said, I'm interested in landscapes that experience devastation. And if you think about battlefields in particular, if a soldier dies, it's the last thing a soldier sees. If land experienced a burn or devastation, the first thing that comes back up is grass and weed. So they have a certain power from my point of view. And why is it called Whispers on the 41st latitude? Is we imagine that these plants are becoming the historians, the storytellers, the entities that tell us about history instead of us talking about history. And that goes back again, my attempt with my work to make people think about history, memory, and issues of this nature.
Wow, excellent. And Gordon, how does the sound play into that?
As we've described, there is an instrument or a piece of technology, actually, that translates the biodata from the plant from a plant. You put you need leaves. Haven't done it on grass yet. That's on the agenda today or tomorrow down at the battlefield. But other plants that are there, you attach 2 electrodes and it records the signals from the plant. And the signals are variable, and plants have a personality and they have moods, and it changes. You know, we tested out first on house plants, 3 different house plants. The device comes with built-in sounds, but instead I'm creating, or have created a synthesizer, and it's uses modeling synthesis where you can control the nature of the material, how it's struck. And I've simply used the more specific numbers, not just the 41, but the coordinates for the latitude and longitude of where we are here. Also, some of the filtering is controlled by the latitude, longitude for Washington, D.C., or Congress, actually, where Congress is, because of the Indian Removal Act. So there's also, I've had two local people here, a student at the college and a neighbor of ours where we're staying, have read the opening paragraph of the Indian Removal Act and the title. And I've edited it so we have one complete version of each. And then I'm right now working on a sampler that will play MIDI, that'll be a kind of a texture that'll be combined with that. And then we've got some speakers, and I'm going to put it in the space, but the main thing is it'll be online if people want to tune into it when they're looking at the permanent installation at the college. The prints are going on vinyl.
Yeah, the prints are going on vinyl, and hopefully it will become a drive-through show at Monroe County Community College.
Wow, that's incredible. So where does this all come together, and where's the permanent installation going to be?
The permanent installation will be on the campus of Monroe County Community College. Where exactly, we don't know yet. But in the fantasy, it would be great, I think, if it's a drive-through exhibition, since this is an area that is so car-centered. And the plan is to have a little ability to read the code, to get the sound, the QR code, and then basically you could cruise through campus and look at the cyanotypes that will be printed on vinyl. The exact location we're still trying to figure out.
Wow. And what will be happening on the 28th when there's the official showing?
Party! Hopefully everything will be together, put together. What does that mean? That all community members who plan to partake, their work is in, it is installed, the sound will be installed, and everybody has the opportunity to come and see an installation they were part of.
Wow, that's phenomenal. All right, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you, Beatrix and Gordon, for joining us on the forum, and I wish you the best in all your future endeavors. Thanks for joining us today. Tune in again to see more on the forum.